Championship Sunday to kick off here. A loser's bracket matchup between Liquid TLO and Liquid HuK. We are going live with our first map, Metalopolis. And what a matchup. What a matchup to
absurd. We've seen so many Liquid versus Liquid battles. Liquid Rhett against Liquid HuK. Rhett making that look one-sided, but of course both of them dead even in the losers right now. Liquid TLO getting a little bit farther in the winners before dropping down, but again, everything's on an even playing field on Metalopolis, a map that really both players are going to be quite comfortable on. And ooh, I think that we're going to be in for a treat as we are cross-map with Liquid HuK, the higher-seeded red Protoss, in the left position, and in the right position, we see that TLO is the lower-seeded blue Zerg, and Liquid HuK, of course. These players, such good friends, such great teammates.
And if you hear the laughing in the background, of course, we get a message that HuK said he's going to hurt the guy that said, "Go TLO" in the background. TLO said, "Whoa, BM."
Yeah,
and
HuK will probably beat him to death with his pillow that he sits on while he plays.
Blunt object, indeed.
Looks like that first scouting probe is heading out by HuK. HuK, of course, well known for not just being an extremely strong and consistent Protoss, but also for being somewhat of an entertainer in his matches.
Since we're in the early game here, Sean, a little bit of insight, because you're playing against your teammate, and do you ever just have to say, this guy is just another guy? You know, I'm just playing another. You can't. I mean, I gotta imagine it's not that good to just say, I'm playing TLO. It's just, this is another match.
Yeah, that is one of the most important skills that good gamers can do, is to dissociate their knowledge of the player with their knowledge of what the race can do. You shouldn't be thinking to yourself, well, what would TLO do? You need to say to yourself, well, what can Zerg get away with? Because if you're against someone like QXC, who's super aggressive, you can sometimes convince yourself, oh no, I'm going to be attacked at any point. But if you were playing against QXC and you didn't know it was him, a lot of times you would play even better. So it's so important that you don't let your knowledge of the player psych yourself out. The best of the best of the best can use that knowledge to their advantage, but it is so hard, and it looks like the little one is getting cannon rushed. Uh-oh.
Yeah, actually, we saw the gateway go ahead and get canceled there, so he could put down these two forward pylons. He has now trapped this hatchery. Drones are going at it, and the crowd goes wild. These two pylons will finish. One of them shields down, and when the amount of minerals comes out, and oh, here he says, TLO says that this pylon's going to die. I think he's right. Here comes the cannon. Drones will go ahead and do it. He'll drop one.
Uh-oh, he doesn't have 100 minerals. He needs to try to get out. No, he will get surrounded. And it looks like he's building a pylon just because he's trying to continue to constrict motion here. And it looks like the little one is going to be able to repel this cannon rush with only drones. Oh my god, the spawning pool is done, and no lings being produced from the little one. He says, no, drones are fine. Drones are the counter to cannons. I saw it in a spreadsheet.
And TLO handles that very nicely. Just a perfect amount of drones to go down there. Again, seeing that not panicking is such a crucial skill to have. He had just the right amount of units to take care of that. And now the big question is can we get a suitable transition from HuK out of that particular rush?
And that is such a key point you bring up, Wheat. Transitioning is the key. Doesn't matter how good or bad your cannon rush goes, if you do not have a planned next step, you are doomed. Now, if this were the original StarCraft and it was the year 1998, HuK would probably be thinking, well, maybe I can just put cannons here, and then maybe put some more cannons here and cannon rush him again. But fortunately, we are in the top 12 of MLG and SC2, and HuK is doing a double gateway block so he can get this cannon up and early expand.
We do have the first Zerglings going out. And, of course, they are going to be met with that front wall, so buying a little bit of time. Now, the one thing is that, you know, Zerg early game going to cut some corners, get that economy up, but once they get to that point, they really can start whipping out a lot of units. And, oh, he managed to get into the base.
Oh, man. I think HuK is going to be aware that that is not a solid wall off. Will likely re-wall with an additional pylon there. No planting the cybernetics core. Now, this is interesting. We do have 3 gateways out right now for HuK, and it looks like he's beginning to produce zealots. Wow. So probably going to be an extremely aggressive mass zealot opening. Going to be even getting the fast +1 there so he can have the Zergling killers. Again, with the +1 zealots kill Lings in 2 hits instead of 3. And gosh, it is so cool to see these 2 players play.
Yeah, it is. We've got TLO taking the gold base here in the middle. He feels comfortable enough. He obviously knows that HuK is not going to have any sort of large army to I mean, even at this point, scouting to that position, he's got to worry so much about the front and the fear that, who knows, a stream of Lings could come in here just based off the fact that there's 1 cannon and just a few units. We do have Warp Gate in production. These 2 Zerglings are going to come around and take and chew a little bit on that pylon, but he's getting a great look at what we've got here, what he can do, what his plans of attacks could be.
So smart in this positioning that we see HuK in, and I just absolutely love this move to the very fast 3 gate. Very unusual, but clearly massing up a good bit of zealots and sentries, and again, that key +1. We see TLO getting a queen up specifically for the purpose of spreading creep around the map. Honestly, it doesn't matter what you're really asking TLO. He just generally says the counter is having a lot of creep. We even see that there's just 1 gas geyser in the main and 1 at the expansion. Drones now getting transferred to the center area, and most importantly of all, vision for TLO controlling both Xel'Naga watchtowers. Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the rush that HuK attempted to do, it really, oh, and here we have TLO gonna go in through the back, and he's going to get a really good look at everything that's here. And he already saw everything that was in the front, but here we have HuK now moving out with a force of several zealots and a few sentries. You can hear his warp gates opening right now. He's going to make his way down. What could be interesting is that if he takes out the Zergling and gets vision, he's going to be able to see that there is indeed this gold up, and he just sees it flash there momentarily, and now he's going to make his way in, puts a pylon down to support some units, and goes in for the attack.
And it looks like, oh, very nice force fields, cutting some of those Zerglings up. But Liquid, TLO does find a little hole to sneak out of HuK. Oh, plants the brilliant force field, cutting those units off and pulling the weakened zealot to the back. Very nice control, but those roaches popping up in the nick of time. But Liquid HuK sees there's roaches and is now warping in a ton of stalkers to push up. That Spinecrawler needs to finish a nice transfuse, but not in time to save the queen. And oh, the Spinecrawler is going to fall, and TLO's gold steal is not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work, despite the fact that roaches were coming out, maybe a few more out for TLO in a better position. He might have been able to stop that, but some great force fields from HuK. And then, of course, the big key to that battle is those stalkers coming in and reinforcing. We will see this hatchery go down. Meanwhile, we are getting +1 carapace. Here come the roaches. They're not going to push in quite yet, although I do think they could probably take this number of stalkers. Of course, with the force field and the energy on the sentries, he just doesn't want to make any sort of silly mistakes, choosing his battles very wisely, and we've got a lot more roaches coming out right now.
And look at this, HuK adding on gateways 6 and 7. Don't forget, a big reason that attack work is because +1 attack is finished, and it looks like a lot of roaches out for TLO. But does he have a layer? He does, but no speed. He's advancing forward, picking off 1 unit. We've seen him have great roach control before, and they're picking off all the zealots. Force field's going down right now. Transfuse to keep one of those roaches alive. And uh-oh, HuK may have gone a little bit too far into enemy territory. The sentries are going to fall. It is just stalkers, and HuK manages to find an escape route. If he lost those, that would be a classic misstep we've seen HuK do many times before. Get in too deep and lose everything.
And he's going to continue to just poke with these stalkers together in that group. They can do a lot of damage there. He's going to pick off 1 here, 1 there. He knows that they don't have speed yet. And then actually, we're seeing shields come out from HuK. Don't see that super often. We've also got speed coming out for the roaches, a few more Lings coming out, but the stalker numbers are starting to get pretty high. But also, TLO's roach numbers also getting high. TLO did take the expansion as well. It is 3. Does not know about it quite yet.
Yeah, it looks like HuK is spending a little bit too much time microing around here, and uh-oh, getting a little bit pinned off, and there's going to go down a huge number of Stalkers. Losing any Stalkers at this point is big, and but HuK answers by killing that center hatchery, and we see many links from the little one still denying this expansion up at the north. We've seen HuK want to gear up to take that multiple times. Interestingly enough, HuK still ahead in the food count. That timing push by HuK did some damage, but perhaps not enough.
We do have pathogen glands coming out, so possibly some infestor play. As you mentioned, TLO does like those infestors. And meanwhile, Blink is being researched. So we've also got speed and the next level of Carapace coming out for the Zerg. So TLO just completely fine with that initial advantage that he's got. Obviously, the gold fell, but he's got his third base up as well. And here comes another push from HuK.
Looks like both of them are going the opposite ways around the map. It looks like there's going to be some serious base trading. The little one does have 2 extra hatcheries making, so now the little one sees it. He's going to be retreating with everything. Meanwhile, in production, Blink is almost done. The little one does manage to cancel in time. Don't forget about this bottom hatch and this very south 6 o'clock expansion, and it looks like more great movement by both players. HuK being very careful about moving around, and getting completely surrounded, and Blink is not done yet. Zerglings surrounding all of these Stalkers, and the Roaches doing huge damage at the front. The Zealots in the back ripping apart these Zerglings. Does TLO have the +1 armor? Yes, he does. And TLO now advancing fast, and there's the Blink, the nice retreat, pulling everything back up onto the high ground. These Roaches are taking some serious damage on the bottom of that ledge, but here comes HuK advancing forward again, and if any infestors pop out, they will be able to shut down the Blink micro from those Stalkers.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of great moves right there. TLO sending his Roaches down one side, Zerglings down the other. He sort of sandwiches them, and then another great move by Liquid HuK, blinking up to the top into his base for safety. He is going to manage to take out these Lings. A couple will slip through there, but he'll pick those off as well. Trying to secure that third base, really wants to get that down, and he should, as we see another expansion for TLO already up. So he is really taking his side of the map. Now with the help of this observer, going to clear out these creep tumors and really try to hinder the movement of TLO, which will be a great advantage to him. But TLO's roach count is just getting enormous.
Oh my goodness, and the smart blink onto the high ground, doing a lot of good against those speed Roaches, but again, did HuK advance too far? There are so many Roaches everywhere, and the fungal growth. He fungal growths the front Stalkers. He cannot blink them anymore, and TLO is doing incredible damage. The Stalkers are trying to retreat to the low ground, but there are Roaches there to greet them, and there's a little bit of creep left, so he is still sprinting after them. HuK, after that huge first timing push, is in a terrible situation.
Yeah, that was really nice. I liked TLO splitting his Roaches too, because he knew if you're going to blink out there, you're probably going to want to, or if you're going to blink into my base, you're probably going to want to blink out. So I'll just keep these Roaches down there. And of course, as they just sort of blinked out one by one, the damage was dealt. Roaches are going to continue to move around the map. This observer is going to be following, hopefully, their every move, and a large number of Zerglings now making their way in. And this is going to be pretty nasty for this expansion. They will make their way in, immediately going after those probes. In from the back come the Roaches. TLO will decide to pull out here.
Here comes the little one. He's going to back up and join in with the rest of his forces. He's trying to get the Zealots in the front. Stalkers trying to pull back to deal with these Zerglings at the back, but look at the unit count of the little one just streaming in, playing Zerg the way they're meant to be played. Masses of units streaming in. The Stalkers are fungal growth. They cannot blink away. There the fungal growth wears off, but how much damage more can HuK take? There are so many Roaches here. Doesn't matter how good your blink micro is unless you have enough units. And there comes the Immortal, a lot too late, trying to do as best it can. And wow, if HuK holds this off, that would be a miracle defense.
Yeah, it looks like TLO just wants to go ahead and take out this expansion, but he is not going to completely retreat, as HuK will move forward. Will the Immortals make any sort of a difference here? There are only one infestor left with no energy to fungal, but the Zerglings getting the surround and stopping these units. They will take out that Immortal, and then there is not much that's going to be done here, as TLO will wreck this expansion here. So many Roaches. We've got more. Oh my gosh, look at all these Roaches streaming down. There's just a huge army from TLO making his way out. He's at 165, 200 to 79, 124. It's the food count is ridiculous right now.
And we see HuK trying to pick off these Overseers, and there's the good game. A stunningly good game by TLO. I mean,